I'm Charlaine Jannerfeldt, and you're listening to About That Outdoor Job.
It's so intertwined. It's so like almost everything I do is work related, but also my work is like the way I like to live.
This is Alexandra Gossink, travel writer and co founder of I Love the Seaside surf and travel guide. The sea has always been part of Alexandra's world.
My dad was in the naval army, so we always lived somewhere at the seaside. We moved a lot, but it was always at a place at the seaside where he was stationed. So yeah, definitely. I think in all my life I've lived about 1 year in Amsterdam, actually, which isn't too far from the seaside. But I noticed all these things in me, like being restless every day and like looking for an escape somewhere. And then I realized, yeah, because I always lived at the sea. When you go to the beach and you look out, there's like nothing. There's just horizon. It's open fields. And then I realized I'm used to that, so I should just go back to the sea.
Alexandra, do you remember when you first fell in love with the sea and the outdoors?
I know that one. It's when I was about 4 years old. We moved as a family because my dad was in the naval army. We moved from Holland to the Dutch Antilles, Curacao. They're like a small island group in front of Venezuela. And we didn't go by plane. We went on a boat, and it was like a commercial ship, just with freight. One other couple sailing on it, and we as a family. So four kids, mom and dad, and the dog. Yeah, and it was weeks and weeks and weeks. And they made us a little swimming pool, like really, really tiny, but I was tiny. So for me, it was like, way, swimming pool. And I remember looking out. Sometimes you saw dolphins, and like really clearly remember seeing flying fish, just like the fish that really jump out and fly a little bit over the water. And then we had a stop in Trinidad. That was so exotic. Just trees up until the water. And yeah, so that's my, I think that's my strongest childhood outdoor, like, wow, outdoor. There's something to discover here. There's something to see here. It's far more interesting than being indoor.
And what does the sea mean to you nowadays?
It's it's my place of sanity. If I miss it for too long, yeah, like I said, like living in Amsterdam, I get so restless, and it's like as if there like constant things going on in your head and you can't stop it, and there's not coming any new ideas, no rest, no quiet. So yeah, for me, it's just the sanity, recharge. Yeah, digging into creativity or yeah, the quiet.
Alexandra knew she wanted to write and pursued that early on, but it didn't really pan out at first. You gave writing a go, but it didn't really take off. What did you do next?
So I did the odd jobs. Yeah, I first it was like a girl asked if I could replace her in some wood adventure as a guide. Um, I was teaching at the time. Also, I was teaching foreigners Dutch, so I was used to standing in front of a group. From my nature, I'm a shy person, but when I'm in a group and I prepare what I have to say, I'm not that shy. So I thought, okay, well, I can do that. I can be in front of a group, and if it's outdoor, it's good. If we go biking, whatever. How hard can it be? But it went fine, and it was like 3 days spending outdoors, getting paid for it. So I was, yeah, I can do this. And then I started looking for jobs as a tour guide. And I did some traveling in Thailand, and I did some traveling here and there and there. So you get your, I was accepted. You get a week, just a weekend of training, and then you're like, okay, you can go. I think my first one was to Czech the Czech Republic, doing a biking tour as a tour guide, and then some other places in Europe, and yeah, and then finally as a tour guide in Thailand, doing longer tours with bigger groups.
Did the travel guiding experience bring about an opportunity to try travel writing again?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely did, because the tour guide, at some point you're sort of, okay, another group. You know, you get to a point like, hmm, okay, seen it, done it, not too keen on it anymore. But I was keen on the traveling, and I thought, well, I know some places now really well, so I might as well try do it again, like have another go at the writing. And that's when I started selling my stories to newspapers and magazines based on that. I thought, yeah, I know this place really well, and I have an interesting angle here to make a story. So that's how that started out.
Do you recall what your first piece was that got published?
I think it was a story about Bangkok, and I was over the moon. Like, you're like, like when you were young and going to your mom and dad, look, I made a drawing. I was showing the newspaper to everybody. Look, I made it to the papers. There's my photos in it.
Like travel guiding, travel writing as a freelancer can be grueling. It's very competitive, and you continually need to keep up the hustle.
It's also tiring, like pitching your ideas and thinking of new ideas, finding new channels. And I was always thinking, if I just could go from one big project to another big project, that would be awesome. But within my field, and working with other people also.
Was that the starting point for co founding, writing, and editing I Love the Seaside surf and travel guides?
Because we did this trip, we were doing it for almost 10 years, like France, Spain, Portugal, sometimes adding Morocco, and then staying at some places really long. So we got to know places, we got to know people, we got to know a little bit about how local communities worked and what the vibe was. um, and I was always pointing friends or other surfers to, like, yeah, you should go, don't go to the supermarket tomorrow, go to this little market that's behind this and this and this street. And yeah, like, you can have the best coffee here, it's only open in the mornings, but you should go there. And so all these things added up. Also the description of surf spots, and like some people just putting everything out there, and as if it was like accessible for everybody. I thought, no, it's not accessible for everybody. You should check your level, you should check with the community if it's okay to surf here. Yeah, all these little things added up to me wanting to do something with that, and also something with that knowledge. And then when I started talking to people, I remember talking to the girlfriend of him, who's now our designer and our third partner, and she said, "Yeah, I always love to know if at some spot, if if I can chill out there, if it's safe for my kids, if it's safe for my kids to surf there, or maybe I can have a coffee there." And I just thought, that's quite interesting. So all these little talks with people added up to the idea of I Love the Seaside, like a surf and travel guide. Surf, yeah, a little bit like the known spots, but more like what's around. If I figured surfers will travel anyway, and they will discover the spots anyway. That's not, I'm not there to tell them not to go or to go. They will be there. But if they're there, you know, see what's around you. what else you can do. And yeah, so there was the connection between the servers and the locals. So that was the whole idea, to get that connection.
So, what's a typical workday for you now?
Depending on where I am, because we do still travel a lot, and we either rent a house or we stay in the van. The van life is a little bit different. But every day I just start going. I go out with my dogs wherever I am. This is how I start the day, going out for a long walk with my dogs. If there's surf, I surf first, and then either I do the emails first, or just start. If there's a new, if somebody send like a new document to edit, I start doing that. If there's an interview to do, sometimes I have a call with, like the other day, I had a call with the girl who's doing our California guide. Sometimes we have a meeting in, let's say, in Amsterdam with our Chilean couple. Sometimes we have a little meeting with the three of us. Well, Dim, he lives almost like around the corner, and he has an office in the harbor. So we meet up, let's say, once a week. So it's, when we're not doing the actual research and we're not in a van, it's almost like an office job. but, but with the freedom to go out when I want to walk the dogs or have a surf or whatever. So yeah, that's my day-to-day job at this moment. Yeah.
It sounds like your work is actually a lifestyle.
It's so intertwined. It's so like almost everything I do is work related, but also my work is like the way I like to live. I would say maybe if there's a negative side, is that there's almost no such thing as like, it's the weekend, because in the weekend I think, I have to answer this mail, or I can do this and this and this, so I won't have to do that on Monday. We always, when we're on the road, we always have our antennas up, work wise. So yeah, like the downside could be, it could be that every time when we go away, there's our antennas up, and it never feels like a holiday. But then again, it's our job to be on the road, and we can stop at every surf spot where we want. So I'm not complaining. No, yeah.
And though Alexandra loves what she does, it's not always easy to make your living from your passion. Though she gets to travel and surf a lot, she still struggles with finding the right balance for herself.
When we're at a deadline, and we're at deadlines a lot, it's actually, I feel really guilty if I go for a surf. Um, I work in the daytime and after hours and weekend. So I do have the freedom to go out, surf, whatever. But you have this, I always call it like the homework feeling. You used to have like, yeah, I can play, but I still have to do homework. I have that a lot. Yeah. So yeah, I have the freedom, I do it, but sometimes it's a little bit like mixed feelings.
And what other challenges come with the job?
I think, yeah, well, one challenge is time. Like, you want 10 days in a week, 30 hours in a day. The other one is finance. Like, we're doing fine, and also with the way we live. But it's like, it's still, I think, well, maybe every freelancer has that you still have, even if you have enough, you don't know what next month will bring. And so I think that's a big challenge. It's always because you have to level, like, you have to invest, but how much do you invest? Yeah, that's pretty challenging. And focus. The third thing that's a big challenge is focus, because there's so many things going on at the same time. It's not just one job you do, it's several jobs within one job. Yeah. And so And I already have a hard time keeping my focus.
What's one thing you believe that's helped you succeed through those challenges?
Perseverance. Yeah, definitely perseverance. If you like doing what you love, obviously, but if you don't like really believe it and persevere even after a few attempts and it didn't work, it just doesn't work. So, and you have to take step by step, and some steps aren't very successful. So if you still believe in it, then perseverance would be a great asset.
When speaking with Alexandra, you quickly realize that challenges, change, newness, it spurs her on and feeds her ambitions.
And the idea of yeah of not standing still, but just having these new things all the time. That does get me still exciting. It's a load of work, and it's even more, and we're all doing it ourselves. I mean, we had the ideas and we did it. uh, and I do have sleepless nights, actually, every now and then. That's not so good, but yeah, it just, I don't know, it comes with it. But it also gets me very excited to have all these new things, and yeah.
Part of the mission of the series Women in Outdoor Jobs is to share the stories and experiences of women like Alexandra who've successfully made the outdoors their living, so that women who want to achieve that for themselves can benefit from their learnings and advice. This is what Alexandra would say to you if you're considering travel writing.
First of all, you have to believe that your story is worth telling, and if you feel that, I'm pretty sure you're going to sell it somewhere because you're so convinced it's a story worth telling. So you will find your channel. The first pitch is like the most important. Like I said, you have to have an angle. Just saying like, I've been to New Zealand and it's so great, and I can write a story about New Zealand. They're not interested in that. You have to say, I know this old fisherman in New Zealand, and he has a, I don't know, he talks to a tree and he gets ideas from that. And then he built his whole community around that, and everybody goes to him seeking advice. If you say it like that, then they think, oh my god, there's a story there, and New Zealand, and always add a photo, like one or two photos, so they have like a visual idea, and keep the pitch as short as possible. And then you won't hear from them. Well, first you make a call, then they say, yeah, send me an email. You send the email, then you make the call again. Did you see my email? And yeah, and try 10 at one time, not just one. There's 10. Go for the best first, and then slowly go down. Yeah. And not just wanting to enjoy it, because there, at every job there are downsides. So it's always so easy to say, yeah, you just have to do what you believe or what makes you happy. Sure you have to do it, but some parts will not make you that happy or ecstatic.
A big thank you to Alexandra for taking the time to talk with me. You can find Alexandra on Instagram at I Love the Seaside and alexandra.gossink. Other resources are listed in our show notes. Thank you for listening. You can find About That Outdoor Job on Instagram, our website, and a number of podcast listening platforms. You can support our new podcast by subscribing and leaving us a review. A review makes our podcast more visible so others can discover it as well. This episode was produced and hosted by me, Charlaine Jannerfeldt.